Stellar Blade was developed by Shift Up and published by Sony, and was released earlier this year in 2024 for the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 only, which is a shame for the PC users and in this case for the Xbox users, because it is actually a pretty cool game. Stellar Blade is an action-adventure hack-and-slash game with some Souls-like elements, essentially. There is a demo that you can download to your PlayStation to give it a whirl, although I will be openly honest that the demo is not really a true representation of what the game has to offer, because the game is a lot bigger than I thought it was, and there was a lot more in it. Now, you take control as the character Eve. In the distant future, you're sent to Earth to help humanity against the Naytiba. The Naytiba are the monsters that you fight. I'm not going to say no more about the story, but there is choices, and depending on what you do during the game, depends on, you know, what kind of ending you're going to get, and you can also unlock an extra area as well, which is pretty cool. The game overall has some really cool combat combos, special attacks, and there's also stealth attacks as well, plus attacks you can do from jumping on enemies from the air. There's perfect dodges and perfect parries that you can pull off as well, and you can, as you earn skill points and level up, you unlock more abilities and skills to be able to use, and super special attacks and all that kind of stuff, so there's plenty to work towards here as well. The game starts incredibly linear, but opens up later on, so there's actually side quests and all that kind of stuff, which is pretty cool. There's also some minor quick time events, so be prepared when you're watching cutscenes, because you may have to interact and press triangle or L1 or something, because that kind of almost caught me off guard many times. Now, I think it's fair to say that the game looks absolutely gorgeous and the graphics are really cool. I did notice some frame drops here and there when things got supremely hectic, or just there was a lot of reflections on the screen or something. That's just normal for the PS5 these days. But overall, Stellar Blade ran incredibly well. I had no major issues. I am playing it a long time after its release, which is probably a good thing, because I'm letting you know what the game is like now for most people. I mean, I grabbed it on PlayStation Store when it was on offer. Unfortunately, the cheapest I could get this bloody game was 50 quid. And it's 50 quid everywhere. On eBay, Amazon, PlayStation digitally. Why? I cannot get this game any cheaper. The story was pretty cool, and I really liked the world setting, and also the side characters that join Eve on her journey as well. Also, the Naytiba designs were really cool, and the Souls-like elements were a welcome touch. They're kind of like where you have to go, treat them like a bonfire, but they're campsites, so you can go there and you can use it then to upgrade your equipment, and you can unlock new costumes for Eve as well. Yes, the majority of them are incredibly pervy. I don't mind. I don't mind. I like looking at attractive women, video game wise or not, so it doesn't bother me at all in the slightest. But they are hella pervy. So you know, the guys who made this game, they were smoking some stuff. I'm telling you now. But it's yeah. So you have that, and then if you die, you just respawn back at those checkpoints, those rest areas, and obviously if you rest after you've killed all the enemies in the area, the enemies will then respawn. So some very light Souls elements there as well. There's also, which I was not expecting, there's also a fair few side quests for you to do as well, which are pretty cool, and some optional towers that you can go and climb and pull off some parkour in to be able to unlock a big campsite within the open areas. So I thought that was pretty cool. There is also a lot of climbing as well, and it's pretty simple and pretty easy, but it is there. There's wall running and all that kind of stuff, so that was pretty nifty as well. I wasn't expecting a bit of that. There's also relationships that you can build with the in-game vendors by buying from them, which then, the better the relationship, they add more items for you to be able to buy, which, again, I wasn't expecting that. There's also a really weird mechanic where you collect cans to increase your maximum amount of consumables that you can use and other stuff, which is weird, but fine. It's I mean, sure. I mean, not that this game is any stretch of the imagination normal. You know, there's a lot of weird stuff, but that just seems to be the way these games go. There is loads of lore to find as well, which is pretty cool, which I like, and the main story doesn't overstay its welcome. I completed the game in about, I'd say about 10 to 15 hours, I'd say. I did some of the side quests, but not all of them. Now, there are 3 different endings. I'm not going to tell you the ending I got, because obviously it would spoil a lot. And there is a New Game Plus and a boss challenge mode. And in that boss challenge mode, if you meet certain criteria, you then unlock more costumes for Eve, which is pretty cool. And there's also new things in the New Game Plus for further replay incentive. I'm not going to tell you what they are. Again, I don't want to spoil it for you. But overall, is Stellar Blade worth picking up? I'd say yeah. absolutely. I had a great time with it, and it held my attention for the entire runtime of the game. I wanted to find out what happened next for the story, and the ending I got was a little depressing, but for my next playthrough in the future, I'm going to go a different route. But Stellar Blade is a really kick-ass hack and slash game, and one of the better games that PlayStation has released this year, most definitely. I enjoyed Stellar Blade and think, in my personal opinion, think it's a much better game than Spider-Man 2. I know that wasn't released this year, but still, I hated nearly every minute of playing Spider-Man 2, but Stellar Blade I had a fantastic time with. But please let me know in the comments down below if you've checked out Stellar Blade, or if this one's just not on your radar. But as always, thank you very much for watching.